Welcome back to the Cheap Heat Productions podcast. Okay, welcome back to the show. And as you can see today, I have a special guest. It's Joe Mansman from Joe Mansman and the Midnight Revival Band. How are you doing today, man?
Good. Thanks so much, man. Dude, your intro is epic. I feel like I should have worn my WrestleMania fucking Saturday Night Main Event 87 shirt.
Yeah, as I said to you off camera, there's a lot of wrestling related things in here. But
I used to spend some of my off time YouTubing old Saturday Night Main Event programs, and I would sit there with just a bowl of chips and some popcorn. I would watch those old matches. Oh, so awesome.
Yeah, it's not today what it once was, that's for sure.
Oh no, man. Dude, the era of the colorful characters with the signature moves, that was kind of kids friendly. That stuff's all over, man. But that was epic.
Yeah. That's what I always say to people. There's no character development these days. It's just wrestling. We like the in-betweens, the storylines and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't really happen anymore. It's just wrestling. So it doesn't really do it for me, even though I was at WrestleMania and I do have a lot of wrestling guests on. We kind of focus on the past more so than the present.
Yeah, man. You ever listen to that interview with, I think it was Jake the Snake, might have been on Rogan, where he talks about his time with Andre the Giant when he was just a driver?
No, I didn't hear that.
No, it's epic. I would, try to Google that sometime. He talks about how when he was just a driver before he was Jake the Snake, he would drive some of these wrestlers around, pick them up at airports and stuff. And there's an epic story he tells about Andre the Giant and having to drive this guy with a case of beer and how he would go through 30 beers in half an hour.
Yeah, he's actually got the Guinness World Record for drinking the most amount of beers. I can't remember the exact figure. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's epic.
Anyway, aside from the wrestling, we're here to talk about you, man, and your music. But firstly, how did you get into music? Did you start at a young age? What did you want to be? What did you want to do?
Yeah, so I was about 11 years old or so when my older brother, I'm the youngest of 6 siblings, and they were all out of the house well before myself. And my last brother, before he moved out of the house, he passed on a box of mixtapes to me. And on some of these mixtapes, he had bands like Stone Temple Pilots and The Cure and Alice in Chains and Garbage. And that's how I really got into music. And I was also really artistic, so I would spend a lot of time as a kid in my bedroom, drawing my own comic books and making up my own stories. And the music I'd have that playing in the background. That was really inspirational for that time. And then when I was about 14 or so, I started playing music, with some friends in high school or middle school, high school, and learning my first set of chords. And we'd start a band, and my first band, we played our first gig at a church, and we only played 3 songs. So that's all we knew. But as I went through high school, I just became just really enamored by some of my heroes, like Scott Weiland, and back then Stained was the biggest band in the world, and Kid Rock, and even Creed. And I that's all I wanted to do. So I decided, unlike all of my other schoolmates, who all went on to go to college and they eventually all kind of quit doing music, I just continued. After high school, I saved as much money as I could. I went on my first tour. I was in and out of a couple of fledgling bands here and there, mostly just people who didn't take it as serious as I did. They just wanted to do it as a hobby, until, fall semester started. And I just kept going with it and going with it and going with it. And, I had a couple of opportunities throughout the years, to sign to a couple of labels and sign a couple of publishing deals, some things that either I just didn't take willingly or things that fell through for one reason or another. But I continued on, I chugged on, and now I play in this band, and we started this in 2014. My brother Alex and I, who he grew up playing guitar, watching me play shows, and then Chris Becker, our keys player, joined us. We knew him from the music scene, just locally, and we recorded a demo, and we played a couple of shows here and there, but again, it wasn't anything serious until we had our lineup in 2015 when we did our Too Far Gone record. And then after that, the band just took off, and we spent a whole lot of time on the road playing out, mostly weekend stuff, just gigging every single weekend. And we did it all year long. And 2 years went by real quick. And when we realized that we're averaging almost 100 shows a year, we're playing everything, everything that was offered, whether it was a hotel bar or, backyard parties, you name it, we played it. We just did everything we could to cut our teeth. And we've had this band has had a couple of lineup changes other than its three core members, which were myself, my brother, and our keys player, Chris. And, we put out a new record with pretty much each lineup and just chugged on. We never had a whole lot of downtime in between where if somebody had left the band, we didn't spend a whole lot of time, not being productive. We were always putting out content, recording music and videos, and finding even having hired guns on stage with us so that we could keep playing live. We just kept it going as long as possible, and here we are now. So right now we've got the tightest lineup I think that we've had in the history of our career, and definitely have the best songs that we have written to date. Take It Easy. I'm so grateful for that song because it came out of a really emotional mess in our lives, and now it's shaping up to be the most successful song that we've ever released to the public. So here we are now.
How hard is it to find that core lineup of the total package of a band, because it's really difficult, isn't it, to find people that are committed to the cause, because this is really your baby, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I was the founding member of this band, and it is hard. And I consider anybody who's been in this band, a part of its canon. And I try to maintain a really great relationship with everybody who's done it, because they've shared a part of their lives with me, whether it was for a year or just a couple of months or whatever the case may be. The music has always meant so much to me personally that's how I considered their membership. It was like you were giving up a part of your life for a time to help me fulfill a vision that I have. And it is hard finding people that share that, because chemistry is 90% of a band. If a band doesn't talk the same, walk the same, have the same ideas, have the same creative spark, it tends to not last very long, especially when it comes to songwriting. When we've written songs, I can pinpoint moments in each song that we have ever written where I can say, yeah, this person came up with this part because this is what they were doing at the time. This is how this part was birthed, and this is how this riff came to be. And I have a really good mental a photographic image of that stuff and how that stuff all came to be, and a lot of it is because chemistry. So luckily for us, we have a pretty tight music scene here in upstate New York, and it's kind of like a hybrid music scene where everybody plays in each other's bands or has, because we all played shows growing up as kids. So over the last 7-8 years, we've just been pulling people from a variety of bands that we are already very familiar with, and guys that we already knew pretty well, like our current lineup. Our bass player Rob, he was our manager for the last 3 years, and now he's our bass player. And our drummer Maverick, who joined us in February, you know, he played in a band that we played shows with before. So it's not like anybody in the band was necessarily unfamiliar. You kind of knew each other to a degree and already had that chemistry.
Yeah. So everything, it's just kind of fallen into place then for you guys, really.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, the toughest part really is just whenever we do have somebody switching out, you know, that poor bastard has to learn like, you know, 50, 60 songs sometimes.
Yeah.
But so you know, it takes a while to get people up to par. But then there's other people who, you know, they fall in so easily, and then there's other situations too where like maybe we've just dropped a bunch of songs from our permanent set list, and so they don't really have a whole lot to learn other than jumping right into writing mode. Like with this lineup, especially, we as soon as we formed this lineup, we jumped right into writing mode, and we've been writing a record ever since.
Yeah. When you touched on sometimes you might play hotel bars or something like that, obviously you implement then covers into the set lists.
Occasionally, yeah. Like so,
Yeah.
every now and then, we'll do, you know, like a biker club or something where we may have to play for 3+ hours, and
Yeah.
you know, the band does kind of pull from its deep catalog as well as covers. You know, and we've been doing that for years and years. Like actually, my bass player Rob and I, we actually even have a covers duo that we do on the side where, you know, a couple times a month he and I will just go out to the bars and just play covers for 4 hours at a pop and make some extra cash. And so you know, we're pretty familiar with all that. And but it is pretty few and far between. We tend to not try to book
Yeah.
those kinds of gigs.
Yeah,
So
but even still, like even still, all the big bands like are like 90% of bands nearly that you go to see now will throw in a cover no matter how big they are.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we've done that for a long time. I mean, even on our records, you know, like our last album, Renegade, that we put out last year, you know, we did a cover of Motley Crue's "Kickstart My Heart" and put it on that record. And 2 years before that, we put out a cover of Danzig's "Mother" on Mother's
I
Day.
heard that. I heard that earlier. Yeah, it was very good.
Thank you, thank you. You know, I mean, we've got tons of covers. Some still live on, you know, some future B-side albums like that. You know, we might put them out in a couple of years, who knows? But yeah, you know, we do some Billy Idol, and you know, we do some Steppenwolf. We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, if you were to describe that your guys' musical style before I play the latest music video, what would it be?
So we are definitely, you can consider us hard rock, but Take It Easy, our current single, is definitely in the glam rock universe, if you want to call it that. We decided that that was really our first official ballad that we've put out as a band, although we have written and recorded some in the past, but nothing that we've ever put out to this capacity. And this one is definitely more in the power ballad, hair metal vein, but you know, the rest of our stuff comes from a very deep rooted southern rock background, and um, you know, a lot of old heavy metal like, you know, Metallica, and a lot of sleaze rock in there. But uh, if yeah, I would just sum it up and just tell people that we are hard rock, but you know, we have a lot of pop elements to it too.
Yeah, let's take a little look at Take It Easy anyway.
Cool.
So
as brown as your eyes. But they say it never settles quite right. Our love's been a flying wind we can never disguise. I still wouldn't trade a million times for the heat of those nights. Take it easy, baby. Just wasn't on time. Take it easy, baby. Someday you'll realize there's only so much love to give. Baby, is that what we're calling it? There's only so much love to give.
I didn't know when the right moment was to take it out, to stop it.
It's fine. Hey, you got to the chorus.
Yeah, I was going to be like, oh, 6 minutes might be a bit much to throw in the middle.
Yeah, that's the full version of that tune. We actually right now we've got a radio edit that's out on major radio right now. It's about 4 minutes long or so.
Yeah, do you think that's the way like modern kind of rock has gone? Like the days of maybe 6-7 minute songs, like radio stations don't want that. They just want that quick hook, don't they, these days?
For sure, yeah. I I got some really good advice once from uh, Ronnie Van Zant's guitar player. I was chatting with him, and he was telling me that you got to get to the hook within 55 seconds most of the time. And when we put out this tune, it was over 6 minutes long, and that's actually what the video is, the full length version of that. But our radio edit is about 4 minutes and change right now, and it is important because especially with in this generation who can just pull music right off of streaming websites very quickly. For a radio station to really get people's attention, they have to do it quickly, because if they're trying to put out a song out there that's 6 minutes long, I mean, they could air 2 commercials in that time, 3 commercials.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if they're gonna like break up their their paycheck time, they've got to have a song that gets to the hook quickly and gets the point across. So, and I mean, in a lot of ways, this is kind of this harkens back to the 50s and 60s when rock and roll first became a thing. Bands were dealing with vinyl records that could only hold maybe 3 minutes per side. So bands had to get smarter about their songwriting and put out singles that were, under 3 minutes. Most of the time they were under 2 minutes, like a lot of the Beatles' old catalog or the Stones,
Yeah. And do you think about that now when you're writing a song? Do you like, oh shit, this is 7 minutes long, I need to cut this, or do you just go with it?
No, I go with feel a lot, and that has definitely did in the bands a couple of times here and there where we were onto something, and maybe one of us thought that a part was lasting too long. But I tend to be very adamant about letting a song play out the way that it feels, and if we think that the song has potential for any kind of commercial gain or whatever, then maybe we'll do some studio tricks and shorten it. But that's very few and far between. Like I would rather the song make the statement of the band and and reflect the heart of the band and what the band wants over commercial integrity any day.
Yeah. Do you think that's a mindset though in a lot of bands these days, that they're thinking about that commercial aspect when they're writing?
Oh, for sure. Especially bands who are more established, bands who have had a little bit of success, in the streaming world and in the radio world. That is definitely something that they consider, and more power to them. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. However, there's bands like us that are still, and we've had some success, but by no means are we a band that's a household name. So we just write the music that feels right for us, and we deal with anything else we have to deal with later. Right now it's the songs are just a reflection of us and nobody else. So.
And how difficult is it to make it in the music business? Like, and where is your ultimate goal to get this band?
So really, I want to tour full time. Because right now, especially post COVID, the band has not really been touring. We've done local and regional stuff over the past 2 years, but we came to a screeching halt after COVID. And I'd like to get the band back on track to where we're averaging 100, 200 shows per year and touring full time. That's definitely that's primary goal number one. Goal number two is we want to keep putting out as much music as quickly as possible. And that's not as realistic as some think. We've been working on a record now for a couple of months, and we're pretty far into it, but we keep dragging our heels back and forth on whether or not we want to release it as an EP or a full length, or just keep putting out singles, because the music industry is changing now. People they're listening to more singles and adding them to playlists, and people, especially if they don't know who a band is, they very rarely will give a band 45 minutes of their time and listen to a full length. You know what I mean? So it's more about just kind of winning the people very quickly. And we do that live too. You know, we want ideally to keep our set lists down to 30 to 45 minutes a pop. And a lot of times we don't get that unless we're playing with somebody like Dokken or Quiet Riot, you know, when we're opening for bands like that. But yeah, to get back to your original question, you know, our goal really is just to get the band back to touring full time and to putting out albums on a more consistent basis. You know, like once or twice a year is ideal. That's what we were doing before. So.
Yeah, I seen you guys have some very cool merch there on your website. Do you want to talk me through this one?
Oh, that's an old one. That one. Oh man. You know what? Those didn't sell for the longest time. Like, man, we sat on those bitches forever and they weren't selling. But it wasn't until we started playing some real sleazy biker bars, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, dude, like, you know, if this is okay to say on your podcast, like how
you can say whatever you want, man.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, we do things like, you know, have people show us their tits for them, you know, and we'll just give them away to you. I met my current girlfriend by selling her one of those. In fact, I sold her the last one.
There we go. We got a good story out of that little image there.
But yeah, man.
When we talk about, aside from that, when we talk about COVID anyway, like how did that kind of impact the band, we'll say, because you were probably gaining a little bit of momentum like a lot of bands were, and then boom, everything is gone.
Yep, we were touring for a month, February 2019, and then everything came to a screeching halt literally days after our last show. We had a lot of, so this was February 2019. So we had been touring for a month. At the time, our guitar player, Dollars, was brand new. He had just joined the band, had 2 practices, and was immediately thrown into the thick of it. And then, and it was cool because, you know, we were picking up heat. We had just put out a single called Sellout with a video, and we had just gotten the song into a NASCAR video game. And, you know, we were picking up steam, and we played our last show before COVID was, I want to say it was March 7th, and it was March 11th when we got the news that everything had to stop. Yeah. So everything got canceled, but the band didn't quit anything at that point. We canceled our shows, but we had actually gotten together every week until, you know, things were over, because we were sitting on a bunch of material that we had been writing at the time, and we wanted just to take the downtime to develop those songs. And we even recorded a live acoustic record during that time called Fear in the Valley. We were holed up in an old boat garage that we had been renting, and the world was just strange, you know. I mean, it was nobody understood anything about this virus yet, and here we were just sitting in this boat garage, drinking beer and playing fucking guitar around a microphone and just hitting the record button and seeing what came out of it. So, with that record, it's cool because when I listen back on that, it's like a time capsule. You know, it brings me back exactly to what the world was like when we hit that record button.
Yeah, and thank God those days are over, thankfully.
Yeah, and you know, shortly after that, you know, we started recording our Renegade album, and we took our time. It was just an EP, but it took us a year to record this EP, just because we had so much time on our hands now. You know, we might as well just, you know, do the best we could, and we were recording it on our own. You know, so we fine-tuned things as much as we could with as much time as we could, and then after that record came out is pretty much when everything reopened. So.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing kind of what you can do yourself now, even at home, in terms of recording, like compared to say 20 years ago?
Oh yeah. It's a blessing and a curse. I'm sure to most bands, you know, because great in the sense that you have, you know, even a lot of free resources out there where you can just, you know, you can download a software and record yourself and it sounds amazing, you know. Teach yourself on a YouTube channel how to be a recording engineer and how to mix a record, but definitely not great in the sense that now you're competing with millions of bands in the pool, man. You know, every kid has a band now, and everybody's competing for that same space. So,
and it's time consuming also.
For sure. Yeah. But, you know, at the same time too, you know, I mean, it's made songwriting and demoing and things like that easier. You know, like right now when we're writing, we'll track something and just upload it to a Google Drive file, you know, and we'll sit on, you know, 10, 12 demos that everybody can access at any time, you know, from a cloud. And that's pretty cool. But
yeah.
But
What's
I
your
definitely
thoughts?
don't like the idea of competing against millions of bands, you know?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on bands? I've seen a lot of bands lately playing without any amps anymore, just kind of using the digital wireless stuff. Like I went to see, we'll say that band I went to see in Dallas from Finland, no amps. When I went to see Chris Jericho's band Fozzy, no amps. Electric drum kit was kind of strange, but is that the way it's kind of going for live shows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so down with the electric drum kit idea. That thing's kind of fucking bizarre. But we actually, in our band, we've gone to modelers. Now, we still use amps on stage, but everything that we put through those amps is through digital modelers. In fact, both of our guitar players and our bass player right now are using head rush pedals. And our guitar player, he was in like a beta testing group when that pedal came out. So he still hosts a YouTube channel where he teaches people how to use this pedal, because there still isn't a whole lot known about it. But a lot of bands are going in that direction, only because, one, it makes touring easier with less gear.
Yes.
But two, you know, when you have access to you know, hundreds of amps and millions of tones that you can use to blend and create your own sound, why not? So we've been doing the modeler thing now for about 2 years, and it's worked out great for us. But you know, we'll never get rid of amps on stage. Like, you know, we still need the amps. You know, I need the amps as a singer. You know, I have to be able to hear those guitars right behind me. You know, ride the fucking lightning.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that is the future, man. That is the way bands are definitely going.
Yeah, it was just something that kind of like, I don't know that much about that
Speaking
side of music.
You know, Head Rush, give us an endorsement. We've been hitting your ass up now for years. But come on, Head Rush. We're on Cheap Heat Podcast. Come on.
Head Rush. If you're watching, you're probably not, but talk to these guys. If you're looking at the rest of the year, what's your plans for the rest of the year?
We're going to be releasing another single here in the next 5 weeks. And then we are set up to be touring in the fall. We're going to hit up Pennsylvania, Ohio, Virginia, Nashville, the Carolinas. So we have a lot of stuff right now on the roster that we are excited about. And then we plan to do another video here also in the next couple of weeks. And we've got some really exciting news, maybe with Kiss, that I can't really talk about.
Oh, okay. But you kind of said it, but we'll have to watch this space.
I found out some news today. I can't. I'm obligated not to share. Yeah, that's what the oh shit was earlier.
Okay. I came in at a really bad time, or a good time.
Yeah, good stuff coming down the pipeline, I promise.
Excellent, man. If people want to follow you guys on social media, where do they go?
So go to our official website. It's the midnightrevivalband.rocks. And right on our homepage, you can get linked to every single social media platform that we're on. Just got to pick your poison. But we are on Facebook and Instagram, even TikTok, you know, and every digital streaming service that there is. You can find the Midnight Revival Band. And Take It Easy is out on YouTube right now, and it's taken off. So.
Absolute pleasure to have you on today, man. Thanks a million for your time.
You too, man. Good times.
We'll have you on hopefully again, maybe in the next couple of months, and we'll see where you guys are at.
Cool, man. I'll send you some of the new tunes.
Excellent, man. Thanks a million.
Thank you.